Hey man, what it is? This is Deem, and I am your host, and this is By Any Means. There go to PayPal at Deem by any means. There go to Cash App, $ Deem by any means. Y'all know what I'm about to say. I don't care if you send 50 cents, a dollar, $200, $1,000. It is much, much, much appreciated. David Benavidez, can I talk to you, sir? David Benavidez on aisle three. David Benavidez on aisle three. Let me holler at you, big bro. You one of the best boxers in boxing. You have one of the biggest buzzes. You one of the most exciting fighters in boxing. You are one of the most prestige fighters in boxing. You're one of the most non-overhyped fighters in boxing. Listen to what I said, non-overhyped fighters. Um, David Benavidez is literally a fighter that I really don't have no issues with, no way around the board. I like his personality. I like that he stands on the square. I like the way that he boxes. I like how he boxes. I like the way he's going about his career and the decisions that he's making. David Benavidez, please don't make me out to be a liar, sir, because I do not want to have to come back and cook you months and months and months from now. Because of whether you fight Canelo or not, you have to fight David Morrell Jr. Why y'all say that? Because you can't complain about things and then do the same thing to somebody else, aka Terrence Crawford. You cannot complain about some things and then do the same thing to another fighter, aka Terrence Crawford. Yes. Whether you get a Canelo fight or not, we all know Canelo not really trying to fight you, but it may happen this year. I'm not going to totally put that off on Canelo. I gotta wait and see. I'll judge it when I see it. If no fight happens in 2024, Canelo will be definitely getting talked to. But I've been hearing mixed things, and anytime you hear mixed things, you know what that means, y'all. None of it's real. It is what it is at that point. But you have to fight David Morrell Jr. You can't say he don't hold the title. He holds the title. You can't say he's not he hasn't done enough. He has, because he's over every other 168 pounder, because you fought everybody else that would be somebody you would put past him. See, Canelo could do it because Canelo resume is so stacked already. So whether we like it or don't like it, if Canelo fights Jaime Manguia, it is Jaime Manguia is a good fighter. It is what it is. I'm going to cooking for it, but it is what it is. I can't be like Jaime Manguia is not a good fighter. If he fights Jamal Charlo, that's a great person to put on your resume. I can't. Now we all know Jamal Charlo's circumstances, but Jamal Charlo looked pretty good his last fight. And for somebody to be off that amount of time and look the way he looked, hey man, kudos to the man. He only could go up from here. So I think David Benavidez, in a way, to be fighter of the year decisively. If you don't fight Canelo, you definitely have to fight David Morrell. But to me, you got to fight him either way. Because if you want to be known as the Mexican monster, the boogeyman, if you beat David Morrell Jr. and then beat Canelo Alvarez, bro, you will be, and then move up to 175. You will be. I would put you as the number one pound for pound fighter in the world. I would have to. Love Terrence Crawford. You only for Earl. He's fighting two monsters and is at a young age. I love Bud. I love In a Way. In a way, you're at a rock camp, wouldn't be able to put you over David Morrell. You're at a smaller weight class. Sorry, I can't do it. If you got those two fights out the way, David Benavidez, I think both of those fights would make you a star. And I also, because of the war that I think you and David Morrell will have. I know if you fight David Morrell, I guarantee everybody listening to my voice right now, that would be fight of the year. Guaranteed. Everybody listening to my voice right now, if David Benavidez fights David Morrell Jr., that will be the best fight of this year. And to be honest, I will guarantee and bet anybody that that fight will be better than any fight we would get next year. Absolutely. People talk about Devin Haney and Tank, Canelo and Benavidez. The fight I really want to see more than any other fight in boxing, even more than Jerron Boots Ennis and Terrence Crawford, is David Morrell Jr. and David Benavidez. Both the same age, both in the same division, both phenomenal talents that we just haven't seen, like just phenomenal talents. Both from got a Latino heritage. Both brothers stand on business, and I think would be by far the most entertaining fight in boxing. That is the most entertaining fight in boxing to me, because because the way both got fighters fight, it's no way for it not to be entertaining. If you know boxing and you know the way that both of these fighters fight, it has no choice but to be a barn burner, because neither fighter is afraid of the other one, and maybe they should both be a little more afraid than they are, but I don't believe that neither one of them are afraid of each other. And when you get something like that, then that's the fights that we I truly believe David Morrell Jr. and David Benavidez be ranked one of the greatest fights of all time. You remember when we used to watch ESPN Great Fights, and they used to put up all the great fights from the past, and just on a random Tuesday or something like that? That'll be one of those. That'll be one of those fights that we talk about years from now. Remember when you saw David Benavidez and David Morrell? That's that type of fight. And anybody who doesn't agree, you just don't know boxing, or you don't know enough about David Morrell to even make an opinion. If you haven't seen David Morrell last 5 fights, do not get in my comments and disagree with me. If you do not know nothing about David Morrell, if you don't even know who that person is, please don't get in here disagreeing with me, because I guarantee the point I just made, it ain't a boxing head in America that if I said those 2 names and said, what chance would you give that being fight of the year? I guarantee all of them will put over 50%. I don't think it's a better matchup you can make in boxing at this point. Besides, no, because I would say Beterbiev and Bivol, but Bivol's not a knockout artist. Both of these guys are knockout artists. Both of them. And neither one of these guys are just balls to the wall. It's a cruise attacking you. No, they thinkers in the ring. If you don't want to believe that David Benavidez is a thinker, go watch the first 2 to 3 rounds. Go watch the first 3 rounds against him versus Boo Boo, and you will see exactly what I'm talking about. And then watch every round after that. That wasn't a talent thing. That wasn't a skill thing. That was an adjusting what I'm doing, figuring you out mental thing. And then he got him out of there. So to me, this is the fight that has to happen, whether he fights Canelo or not. And more for David Benavidez reason, because I believe a fight with David Morrell and you get the Canelo fight will put you down as you'll be on a Hall of Fame path. You give me those 2 fights this year, David Benavidez, and I can almost assure you'll be in the Hall of Fame, because you have nowhere else to go but up from there. Because people always want to hold those 2 fights. Then you for Caleb Plant. Then you for Boo Boo Andre. Then if you mix a Jaime Munguia in there, a Arthur Beterbiev, a Dimitri Bivol in there, it's going to be kind of hard for anybody to argue with anything that you do, bro. Then you'll be Canelo and be able to pick and choose until there's another young lion that people say that you're not ready for. But I don't see one of those guys coming anytime soon, to be honest. Somebody to challenge that throne. David Benavidez, you need to be trying to go for being the best fighter in boxing. You a Mexican monster. You want to be known as the absolute nightmare, though. When we talk about boxing, you want to be able to be the guy that we have to put number 1. And you literally are right there, my guy. There's literally, if you fight Jaime Munguia, David Morrell, Canelo Alvarez, it'll be hard for anybody to dispute that you're the best fighter in boxing, whether they agree or not. Especially if Gervonta Davis don't fight Shakur Stevenson, Devin Haney, things of that nature. It'll be hard. Because Earl was in that spot. You would be in Earl Spence's spot. And what I mean by anybody that's love Earl, how I love Earl, don't get offended. What I'm saying is we know how highly ranked Earl Spence was prior to that Terrence Crawford fight. It's hard to not put Earl in the top 5 pound for pound resume. It's like you can't talk about Earl's resume. You dig what I'm saying? Like his resume is impeccable. So David Benavidez will be that fighter that we'll be looking at. He ain't duck no smoke. He for them all. And that's what you want as a boxer. And then, David, you got a chance to do it before everybody else because you only 26. So then you still got another 10-year career, 13-year career where you could just be knocking them down. And you get to pick and choose who you want to fight, because all the major fights, you want to be known as the guy that fights people when we want to see them fight them. Because that's the only time people care about you fighting people that's not on your level. When you having for people that they so-called say we want to see. But David Benavidez, you'll be the guy that nobody could say that about. And there is not another fight. There is no fighter in boxing more talented than David Morrell Jr. I'm going to say it again. If his name is not Gervonta Davis, Terrence Crawford, Carmel Moulton, Abdullah Mason, I don't think any of them are more talented than David Morrell. I know y'all don't like me saying that. I know it hurts me. You hear me saying that from your heart. There's only two fighters that I even think that you could even put in David Morrell pool talent-wise, and that's Terrence Crawford. That's Terrence Crawford and Gervonta Davis. Oh, yeah, Jaron Ennis. Terrence Crawford, Gervonta Davis, Jaron Ennis, and David Morrell, I think, are the most talented fighters in boxing. Pure talent. And Shakur Stevenson, I'll throw in there, too. The problem with Shakur is his offense, but I've seen Shakur be offensively gifted. I know he has the capability of doing it, so that's why I put him up there. But to me, those are the five most talented fighters in boxing right now. And if David Benavidez could say that he steamrolled one that's the same age, what can we say? And then get the Canelo fight, what can we say, man? What could you say about David Benavidez? You couldn't do nothing but respect it and put respect on his name. So y'all know what this is, man. Ding, by any means. And I holla at y'all.